Welcome back, you hear of Goldberg. Today I'll be talking about a major in philosophy. Is it worth your time, money, and efforts? This is a course of study probably most frequently found on those lists of poorly paid majors. And in fact, someone hears you're doing philosophy, they're liable to go, "Oh, where's your toga, brah? You realize the only thing worth pursuing this life is something a corporation can profit off of while you spend your entire existence as a workaholic wage slave." You get it, that neoliberal brainwashed mentality. I find it reprehensible. Nevertheless, philosophy, because of the world that we live in, unless you're going to the cream of the crop and you have the adequate connections, it's probably advisable to only minor or maybe double it with something slightly more applicable as far as perhaps management information systems or the like. Uh, and we'll get into a little bit more detail as far as exceptions to that later on in this video, but obviously there aren't a whole lot of schools of philosophy right now in the traditional sense. You do have the universities, but access to them is somewhat complicated. So if you take a look at the BLS, you're obviously not going to have a specific philosopher career field. And with the preponderance of internet-based thinkers and philosophers, I suppose you could just incorporate content creators into that. So maybe you'll decide to become the next. Hello everyone, this is Stan Molyneux from Feminist Egg Radio. Hope you're doing well. That is one route to take, but you certainly don't need necessarily a university education to start a YouTube channel. You just have to be ready to shill and cuck for all the ad revenue, be it as it may. In any case, we have data here which refers to the academic market primarily. Here we can see August 18 to July 2019, approximately 180 junior jobs, 70 postdocs, and 60 open ranks positions. What that should tell you is that if you are trying to go into the academic university teaching route, go to the best possible school. Don't just go to some small private university that's poorly connected, because you don't want to end up putting all that time and effort into a PhD and then you can't actually get employed. This is actually more recent data from November of 2020, and they said from the analysis performed, there are 53% fewer jobs on filled jobs in 2020 compared to 2018 and 2019. In 18, there were 270 jobs posted. 2019, 267. This year, 126. Not too surprising. How much funding is really going towards philosophy? I don't say that as it's a good thing, because yes, philosophy is important, but just the nature of how the economy works, we tend to overvalue things that don't necessarily benefit us insofar as we're trying to understand deeper questions. So this is just data that you have to be aware of. Now, if you do go to university and you want to study philosophy, I would advise being very active in different student organizations, groups, pursuing the internships, and forming relationships with the professors, because the people who do very well in a alternative field with a philosophy degree are typically those that have the ability to kind of go out there and network with people. If you're just the Weasley, I'm inside my books type, you're unlikely to do very well with this major. That's just the harsh truth. So if you want to do the academic route, we already talked about what the job prospects would be. In undergrad, do the thesis program. Make sure you've got that appropriate relationship with the professors. Alternatively, you could look into private, like preparatory academies, those that emphasize classics and philosophy a great deal. It's a good option. And there's going to be alternatives. You could work at a community college. You're not going to go above 200 level courses, but that's a way to have a job, although it may not be the, I'm having the great debates with the smartest minds out there. So it's going to be a trade-off. There's also those who talk about, you'll see chatter on forums, philosophy and investment banking. I go back to the whole dynamic. Was this really about the philosophy degree? Which, yeah, you have to be trained to a certain extent to answer complex questions, or at least try to, and abstract problems. I would say, though, if you're not an extroverted person, if you don't know how to take charge, I'm not sure how much philosophy is really going to help you. unless you're just very good at transitioning from philosophy to advanced mathematics, maybe doing the quant stuff. But that would also require a certain level of training, whether through university or just individually you can do that. Here it says philosophy majors more likely than other graduates to become CEOs, but were they all from average universities, or were they already from a preppy background? Did they have connections? These are bigger questions. I wouldn't go into philosophy with the, oh, I'm going to be a CEO mentality. Although you could start your own company, that's certainly a possibility. Oftentimes when they point to, well, this CEO had a liberal arts degree, that's also probably someone who had a certain work ethic and really gave a lot to a certain organization. So don't attach it just to the major. And then lastly, you have evidence that philosophy majors do well in the LSAT, can perform in a effective manner in law school. So that's a possibility. Of course, be careful about how much money you're spending because law school is expensive. And as I've advised before, either intern before you choose to go to law school or be a paralegal. Don't spend money on the LSAT, which is a pricey test, until you know you really want to be a lawyer because it is a significant commitment. But that is one option if you have a philosophy degree. So not the strongest course of study out there, but there are routes to success, and certainly look into this and pursue additional information if you are considering going with philosophy. If there's any other courses of study you want to see me discuss, just drop them below.